Welcome to Animal Football Insider, your weekly look into the happenings of your Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Florida Gators, and all things related to football. And now, from West Des Moines, Iowa, here's your host, The Animal.
This edition of the Animal Football Insider. You're surely the Animal coming at you on a very special Sunday afternoon post-mortem edition of the show, in which what we saw today was, last night, was really not one of the best games that we have seen in Florida Gator football. In fact, you could probably say it has been disaster, more or less. But let's see here. We got some news for you, and we're going to follow all that. Lucas Man is going to join me in just a minute. Let's see. Okay. So, got a lot of things going on here at once. But yes, we do have some news that is developing that we're going to bring you up to speed on and tell you what's happening as we get you ready for what's going to be a very interesting afternoon as we kind of go back as we are in a little more than 12 hours or such after a debacle game last night I should say, in which the Florida Gators lost. Well, I shouldn't say lost. They were demolished at the hands of the Gamecocks, South Carolina. 40-17 was the final score, and what has become probably one of the worst games in Florida Gator football that we have seen in quite a while. And the process of that game, there has been some developments that have taken place within the last 24 hours. And to join us to help us talk about that, I'm going to bring on our good friend Lucas Mann here in just a second. See if I can't bring him on. There you go. Hi, Lucas. Glad you could join me. What's going on, brother? Wait, buddy. I got your mic muted. My fault. My bad. Go ahead. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Just pissed off about the game last night.
Yeah, I know, and I know. I know what you mean now. Now let's bring Gator fans up to speed on exactly what's going on. As you know, let's bring Gator fans up to speed as far as what's happened. Now, last night, you know by now, the Gators lost a heartbreaking game, 40-17 at the hands of South Carolina. It was a game that they were supposed to win, but this Florida Gator defense just looked horrible. The offense never got into gear. It was just a bad performance. No way around that. Now today, there are new developments that are taking place. Per South Saturday Down South, a popular SEC news outlet, and other Gator fans, they're reporting today that a big meeting is happening today among major boosters, and specifically those that have a financial interest in the renovating and the facilities upgrades at the University of Florida. Story is out that they're meeting to decide the fate and the future of the University of Florida. Now, we all know that Scott Strickland is supposed to be there in that meeting along with Dan Mullins. I've seen reports that Strickland is meeting with Dan Mullins today, so we don't know what's happening. Several articles are confirming this. It's reported that they're going to meet and discuss the future of the Gator program. Through this meeting, several outcomes can develop. And Lucas, as we join you back right now, I'm not surprised that they are meeting today. Well, I am surprised that it's 2:49 Central Time, and we have no word yet on anything that's happened with this program.
No, we haven't. I guess what we're looking for. I guess the last thing I heard is Thomas Goldcamp 24/7 was going to dig up and see if he could find out anything. If I were Mullen, if it was me, I would have fired Mullen right now. I mean, not right now, but probably after the season.
Well, here's the thing, and here's the thing about it is, I don't know that Mullen should be fired necessarily. But I think what happens is that people are tired of seeing what's happened, especially with the game last night,
Dude,
40-17.
how about this
40,
for a second? We have gone two and 8 in our last 10 games against
well,
teams.
yeah, especially when you look at how South Carolina was able to rack up nearly 300 yards of rushing offense against this defense. Um, and was able to connect 175 yards passing. I mean, there's no mistake. When you give up more than 450 yards against a South Carolina team that's 4-4 on the year against a third string quarterback, you know that you have some serious issues within this program.
Making his first start, I might add.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, you know, Michael Burton, who is following me right now, he says if Grantham relocated to another athletic department within UF and not fire him, it would solve this. Well, you're kind of right about that, Michael. But here's the thing: this is Grantham's last year, contract wise. After this year,
Why
he
would you
doesn't have a.
And what I
He,
don't get is why would you fire him with when he only has like what 3 games left, 4
mm,
including the bowl game.
well, the reason, and I tell you why, the reason behind that is because number one, it would show that some action is being taken. Okay, it would show that Mullen, um, is serious about this team and wants to make a change right now. Now, I don't know if it's going to help. To be quite honest with you, I'll be honest with you. I think with everything that's happening.
We're screwed because we might lose recruits and we might.
Well, here's the thing about that. Saturday, there was a defensive lineman out of that chose to go to Texas A&M. You have more information on who he is, which you'll discuss here in just a minute. But I don't think it's much we lose a lot of recruits on the defensive side. Okay, I think if anything, I think it's going to help recruiting because I think that it would show that Dan Mullen is very serious about this team and wants to stay here. Now, let me tell you all what from that aspect what's happening. And as Michael Burton says, the new facility must be built, so the Boosters need to see something happen now. And he's right. Okay, but there's been all this talk about the fact that Dan Mullen doesn't want to stay here, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Backstory. There's a backstory to that. Earlier, when the 2020, when the at the beginning of the year, Dan Mullen was ready to let Todd Grantham go. There was a report that Mullen was very serious about wanting Todd Grantham released. They wanted to make a change on defense. Strickland came in and overruled that, specifically because he did not want to pay for the buyout. Okay, so now this has caused a lot. Because of that, now it has caused more problems than anybody could ever imagine. Because now, Scott Strickland has been put in a position whereby, number one, okay, he could be losing his job. Number two,
I don't even think it's because of Mullen. I think it's because of what happened with Neubauer.
Well, and that's another angle that we're going to talk about here in just a minute. But I think that what happens is that some several outcomes can happen through this. Number one, they can these boosters can recommend that Dan Mullen fire Todd Grantham, which would not surprise me if it's not already done. Okay. Number two, and a second choice would be releasing Dan Mullins and whereby naming somebody to replace him on an interim basis. But also number three, firing Scott Strickland over this, but also because of another situation. Let me get into that for the people that are joining me here. Now, what we're talking about is another issue involving women's basketball coach Cam Newbauer. He was the head coach of the women's Florida Gators women's basketball team. For Cam Newbauer, though, there was a lot of things that were going on within the program. Nothing sexually or anything like that, but it was harassing a lot of the basketball players, harassing them to the point where they were literally crying. It was just causing a lot of problems within the women's basketball team. Go back to last year. Strickland decided to renew Newbauer's contract for an extension, and these reports were still coming out. Strickland knew about all this, did not do anything about it until he fired Newbauer last year. Now, while that is now, there's a lot of people that are very, very upset by this. There are a lot of people that are upset by this, and now they're calling for Strickland's head. So now, why not go ahead and just make this happen? You know,
Yeah.
and it's becoming it has become an issue. With this organization, it's become an issue within the boosters of the club, the fans. They're not happy with what's happening. Okay, Comic Along, who's on, well, not on, but is watching. She makes a comment saying Dan's buyout six million in 60 days, then 1 million each for the next 6 years. Dan's buyout doesn't go away if he's here. If he's here another year, so that means that they would be stuck with him. If they would be stuck with it if he was here for another year. Now, um, I okay. Look, I used to be the one who would say I didn't want Dan Mullen to be fired. They just need to make a change with Todd Grantham. But you're in the know. You know a lot of things that are going on, and not just from a recruiting standpoint, but within the program.
Because I have a source, really good source within the program that knows one of the coaches. I'm not gonna give who the coach is, but he gives me information.
Right, but within that information, is it a toxic environment? Um, is it one that people are not? I don't know. I mean, is it a toxic environment? What are you hearing?
It's bad when I don't know if you heard this, but Chief Boyers and Scooby Williams weren't at the game last night, and they were literally laughing at the team, saying how bad they played.
Yeah, and I saw that Chief Borders and Scooby Williams are new guys that came on to the team last year, and they did not make the trip. I'd like to know what's going on there. Our good friend, let's see, Bobby Alexander, host of Gator Gang, who I've been on his show before, does an excellent job. He joins us on this edition of the Animal Football Insider. You're a first timer, my friend. Welcome to the show that really never ends.
What's up, Lucas, or what's up, Animal? Glad to make your show. I got your link, and I'm like, let me get set up so I can get on here and talk some Gator football.
You're great. You're fantastic. I thank you for coming on. We'll get into the discussion. Well, let me bring you up to speed on what's happening. That you're just joining me right now. Reports are out, and Saturday Down South has confirmed is running a story which says that boosters are meeting today to discuss the future of the program. Now, according to this report, these are people that have a financial interest within they have a financial interest in the facilities, and they're wanting change to happen. Your reaction to the story, and how much of it do you think could result in some changes?
When you have a season the way the Gators have had, you're coming off of your best performance against Alabama, and then you kind of go to a demise where you beat Tennessee, you look pretty good there, and then you get into Kentucky, you have the penalties, and you still have a chance to win that game. So then Kentucky's not a scrub team. So that's a team. Okay, we went to their place, we lost. Then you play Vanderbilt, and we gave them they gave us their struggles, but they kind of shot themselves in the foot. And then you go to LSU, you lose there, you get the bye week, and then you try to get people ready. You go to Georgia and Jacksonville, you lose that one horribly, and then you go to South Carolina, and you're playing a team that is 106 in the nation. Against the run. And Florida had what did we have here? I wrote it down. We had 18 yards of rushing at the end of the first half against South Carolina, who again, as I said, is 106 in the nation, and that is not a good look when you are not able to run the ball because honestly, that's your pedigree this year. You don't have Kyle Trask. To throw the ball. This year, you've been able to run. At one point in time in the season, we were third in the nation in rushing, and you can't seem to run the ball. And so, where I'm getting at with all of this is, during the course of time, we've really fallen off of the Gator standard, and I was not one on the fire Dan Mullen bandwagon, and I'm still not on that bandwagon. But
No.
what I'm saying is, hear me out, is I'm not on that train yet, and I emphasize yet because when you look at the last 3 games of the season, you have Samford, which will not be a problem. I don't care if we win 62-0. No question is answered winning that game, no matter how you win it. But if you struggle in that game against Samford, that's going to raise even more questions. But then you got to go to Missouri. Then you got to go to Florida State.
Which, by the way, I'm going to be there for that game at the Missouri game. So yeah, yeah. I mean, and you're right, and how things have just fallen off the rails is beyond me, and a lot of this has to be on Dan Mullen. But by the same token, Lucas, I mean, if you really stop and think about it too, this defensive staff has depleted so much that's gotten to the point that these changes have to happen right now.
And I don't think you're going to see those changes made right now. I think it would cause more of a distraction than a benefit. Just get through the rest of the season with what you got. It's already a shit season. So you just kind of got to take what you're given and get through these last 3 games and don't cause any more distractions than what need to. And that's exactly what that would do. I mean, I've seen so many reports about, a blackout in the swamp for next week or Florida State. Look,
I've seen that.
In not one situation of my life or anybody's life have I ever seen a negative mindset and a negative attitude help in a negative situation. The only thing that helps the negativity is positivity and being positive. And I don't care whether Florida is winning, losing, or whether we're 12-0 or 0-12. I'm going to support the orange or blue, and I'm going to stand behind them, regardless of who they're playing, what's going on in the university. I just know that this meeting will maybe, turn some heads and wake some people up. And it's a start. This meeting is good because it's a start to getting in the right direction.
And I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Lucas, this meeting though has come. I don't know if this meeting has come too little, too late. But also by the same token, it's better late than never that something like this happens.
Yeah, I would rather get my answers now than wait till the end of the year. And then I honestly think Strickland needs to be fired, not because of Mullen, because of the Cam Newton situation.
And of course we talked about we talked about that, the Cam Newton situation and everything that's going on there. let's see here. Michael Burton posts. He makes a comment, says, "I believe that it's time. That time is the item needed. It must be that the new defensive coordinator is already coaching somewhere. Feelers have to be sent out." I'm not so sure, Michael, that feelers have not already been sent out about the future of the defensive coordinator. And as Bobby, as we were talking here, you were like you kind of like had a shocking look on your face. Was that related to Gators or something within the National Football League?
I know I was actually watching the NFL game, and Atlanta or yeah, the Saints were down to Atlanta 24-6,
Right.
and the Saints actually came back and got the lead, and Atlanta just went down there and like less than a minute and kicked the game-winning field goal as time expired.
Oh wow, that's huge. That is huge. And by the way, other NFL action going on. Minnesota's tied with Baltimore. 22 seconds left in that game. Look, we don't talk just about in Gator football. Well, we also talk about the National Football League. He's Bobby Alexander. He's Lucas Demand Gator. We're talking about the Gator game that happened last night in Columbia, South Carolina. It was a train wreck, made no mistake about it. And now the boosters are meeting today with Scott Strickland. I don't know if Dan Mullen is a part of that. I've seen a story whereby Strickland and Mullen were meeting today. So I don't know what's happening with that. We have not seen anything on Twitter today. Oh man, I knew this was going to come up. Michael Burton says, I believe a good fit would still be Charlie Strong as defensive coordinator. If his wife would accept this, hang on. If his wife would accept this, he is a great recruiter. Well, Michael, I would love to have Charlie Strong as a defensive coordinator. I think it'd be perfect. But all that got whitewashed. When the NCAA tagged USF for recruiting violations that happened during the Charlie Strong era at USF. So that's something that is held against him. And Bobby, I don't know how you react to this, but if I'm looking for a defensive coordinator after what happened with Charlie Strong in the USF deal, I don't know if would want to touch him right now.
Well, I don't know the real details of exactly the violations of what it was. If it was something kind of petty or if it was something kind of major. But Charlie, from what I know, Florida, when Charlie Strong was there, he's a great recruiter. He's great with what he does. Will he be the DC, or will we be able to get him? I think every coach has a spat on them of what they do. Like when Dan Mullen came in, from obviously he was offensive coordinator at Florida, but then he went to Mississippi State and coached there for 9 years and never really could get over that hump over there in the SEC West and get secure a title over there. So then he comes to Florida. Obviously, I think that the talent and everything is better here at Florida for him to achieve the goals that he wants to achieve. But this is year 4. And your players most of these players on the team are your recruits, and we should be a lot better where we're at.
Let's hold up. Let's hold up on that. Let's hold up on that because you brought something up. The fact that most of these recruits are Dan Mullins. You may have a number. You may have the number. What's the number percentage of recruits with Dan Mullen as compared to Jim Eckelwing? How many of the Jim Eckelwing recruits estimated that you think is still on this team?
It's gotta be
I gotta say you're in year 4, and you only get 4 years in college, other than a red shirt or senior, being a 5th-year senior or whatever the case may be. But generally speaking, you only get 4 years, and this is year 4 for Dan Mullen. So a lot of the the people when he came in, when he took over, they were freshmen. So there's a good majority of these players that are Dan Mullins. But a lot of the talent that we lost, and last year and the year before with the receivers and Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts and all that, a lot of those were Jim McElwain's recruits. So it really does beg the question of can Dan Mullen recruit, because this is year 4 and he should be, a lot farther to develop these players and, getting them coached up and being ready. Because what's a concerning factor to me is the fact that you're pulling from the transfer portal. And he's done great there. No knock on the transfer portal. We've used it great. But what I'm saying is, if you're pulling a transfer and your transfer is starting over your recruits, there's obviously a question of why are your recruits, somebody you went out to get, why are they not, getting the start?
Lucas, you want to comment on that, because he makes a very good point about that. He makes a very good point about that. You want to comment on that?
It's sad when it's. I think it's obvious that we all know that Mullen is not the best recruiter, but it, it's an issue. Like you said, it's an issue when you got 3 defensive linemen that are from the transfer portal that are starting over your guys that you went out and literally handpicked and said, "I want them on my team."
Mm-hmm.
But let's address this question here. By the way, Lucas, the Gator man, Bobby Alexander, just chose the animal on this very special Sunday afternoon edition of the Animal Football Insider. Um, Bobby raises an interesting question here. When you have poor transfer portal guys that are starting over your recruits, is it because you're not recruiting well, or you're not coaching them well? I think it goes one. I think goes hand in hand, one within the other, because these are coaches that are recruiting these players as well. So if your coaches are not doing the job, it's reflecting bad on Dan Mullen, in my opinion. Bobby, I mean, you raised a very interesting point about that.
Oh, I was just looking at the screen. Jacksonville won 9-6 over the Buffalo Bills, so they
Yes.
are now 2-6. I know it's not saying a whole lot, but go Jags! That's my team. So
Well,
y'all can blast me in the comments, but we just did beat a 5-3 team. So you know what? We got the win.
I think that's fantastic, and congratulations to Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence. By the way, had a bum ankle injury during the course of that game. They come back and defeat the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, who I had in my fantasy league too. So go figure on that.
Yes, I'm sorry, but what was your question?
Okay, so yeah, now I lost my train of thought. Yeah, when you have these transfer portals, guys, that are outplaying your recruits, this is reflecting bad on the coaching staff that you have. And not necessarily. Well, part of it you can blame on Dan Mullen, but part of it also that you got to take into account the recruiting people, the coaches that you have that are recruiting these guys, and it goes hand in hand. One, you can't have one without the other.
I'll be honest. Dan Mullen was my number 1 guy because I knew he could fix the offense. But after last night, I think I'm done.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go off of that, Lucas, because the last 2 games, versus South Carolina putting up 17 and Georgia putting up 7. In the last 2 games we've only put up 24 points. And usually 24 points is usually probably a minimum of points that Florida should score with the offense that we have. And I'm not saying that we're the most explosive offense, but Dan Mullen should be able to scheme up something, and be able to run the ball on a team that's 106 in the nation against the run. Lucas, back to your point earlier, about the recruiting of Can Dan Mullen. I was honestly under the point of, Dan Mullen had came in here and I thought he's a great coach. He's good with the quarterbacks, and under McElwain with Franks, he didn't make him look good. Then when Dan Mullen came in and got Franks, he made him look a lot better. He didn't make him look great, but he made him look a lot better. Then Felipe Franks gets hurt. Kyle Trask comes in the game versus Kentucky. This is a player who's not started in forever, and just came in there and really did things for the Florida. And I'm not, and he's great with the quarterbacks and building them, but I just don't. I think Emory Jones's problem is problems within himself. There's only so much you can coach, but then it's on the player's responsibility to execute. And what I'm saying by that is, if you look at the game versus South Carolina, Emory Jones had the interception where he damn near just threw it to the South Carolina like he was playing for South Carolina. There was that bad interception. And then he had the fumble to where, you're not holding the ball high and tight like you should be. Once you cross that line of scrimmage, that ball is your prized possession. And you got to hold it high and tight and get the yards that you need to get. So, I don't think I think it's all on a little bit of everybody. And I know the pressure falls on the head coach, but I just feel like it's a lot more than that. And let me explain, elaborate more to that. Lucas, who is our running back coach?
Greg Knox.
Greg Knox. Okay. Greg Knox, has seen in practice how good Dameon Pierce is. Dameon Pierce had 6 carries for 39 yards. And, his longest run was 23 yards. Why are we not feeding the hot hand in our best running back in the game? I am really sick and tired of seeing that, I understand, everybody, you want everybody to get touches. You want to make everybody happy. But if you're having a running back that's having the hot hand and, running the ball really well and really hard and getting you yards, some of these running backs, they like to be in the game more because the more they're in the game, the more lathered up they get, and they're just ready to go.
And it just amazed me that we could not get anything going last night with the running game. South Carolina did a great job in shutting that down, and I was just kind of shocked that we couldn't run on them. To the point of Emory Jones, I know that he was fighting the flu, so I don't know if that had any effect on the way he played last night.
I don't mean to cut the players any slack, but we had like 20, 30 players have the flu last night, so I don't know if that
20 30 players that had the flu last night. That may explain why Chief Borders and other players did not make the trip. They may have been fighting the bug. But it just that's still I don't want to say it's an excuse, but Bobby, I don't know. I last night was just totally horrible.
Did you see what he said about the not singing the alma mater?
So hold on, before this thought leaves my head. So you're telling me that these players, 20, 30 players had the flu, but they came and they played even with the flu?
I know that Emory Jones was I'm told that Emory Jones had the flu on the day. They had flu symptoms on yesterday, but he still played. So that's what I heard. I don't know how true that is, but that could probably account for his bad play. But it's still, nevertheless, it's no excuse. We should have played. We should have played up to. We shouldn't have played up to those expectations, or those expectations. That's good. That's and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. But South Carolina is playing their third string quarterback. Their third string quarterback that's never started a game, and a team that, as I've alluded to several times, 106 in the nation against the run, and we come out in this game and we throw the ball 10 straight times, 10 straight passes, and we get a touchdown, or we go 3 now, or we punt the ball the first drive, we get a touchdown the second drive. But within these 2 drives, we throw the ball every single time and do not run the ball once. And South Carolina is a team that leads the league with 17 turnovers and 11 interceptions coming into the game. So my thinking is that you're not going to pass the ball very much. You're going to be more run dominant because that's how you can expose them. But South Carolina was playing a prevent defense, and they had more guys, in the box. which allowed better for the passing game. But you should be able to have the scheme and the setup to play a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. And Kyle McGraw Long said something to the effect, "I heard what you did, Joe," which I have no idea what that means. So, but yeah, I mean, it just becomes interesting, So, um, so as we get ready for the first of all, I've been monitoring Twitter. No word yet on anything that's come out right now, but I gotta think that by tonight or tomorrow we gotta hear some news about the future of this program.
I honestly don't think you're going to hear a lot of anything. I think they're going to keep this hush hush, and as well, I think they should. I think a lot of the media, a lot of the speculation will just create more questions and answers right now. I
If
just feel
you
like
if you
I
do make a
understand. I
decision,
understand changes need to be made.
if you do make a decision, why not wait till the end of the year so it doesn't screw up the?
Right. You have 3 games, and I never thought I'd be saying this at any point in this season. But as it stands right now, we are 4-5, and we are 2-5 in the SEC, and I'm starting to question: can we make a bowl? Because other than the game in South Florida, which was in Tampa Bay Stadium, other than that win right there, Florida has not won on the road. And yes, Stanford is probably pretty much guaranteed win. And then we go to Missouri and we play them, another road game. So I'm questioning, can we get the fifth and the sixth win? Because Florida State, yes, they did lose to NC State, but just like the Georgia
As
game, just
much as
like the
I hate to
Tennessee
say it,
game,
they're much
when you come
improved.
into these rivalry games, it don't matter what the records are, what the standings are. It's a hard
Mm-mm.
fought game.
Yeah, go ahead, Lucas. What were you gonna say?
I don't care what I don't care. I hate Florida State as much as anyone, but Florida State is much improved, so that's going to be a hard game. So you got to.
I like what Michael Burton said. We need the ambassador to keep the boosters on board. Which I think he's referring to Steve Spurrier. You know, Kyle McGraw Long said, "I wouldn't take this team to a bowl game," which you know that's up to them. But yeah, getting to 6 wins kind of now looks kind of questionable because you got Sanford this week, but then after that, it's going to be interesting. Lucas, thank you so much for joining me. Will you join me on Thursday night?
I will. When is it?
So 7:30, 8:30 my time, 7:30 my time, 8:30 your time, and come on for a few minutes. We'll talk about the latest in recruiting and give us an update on what's happening there. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Lucas, to me, and thank you very much, Bobby. I want to keep you on for just a couple more minutes as Lucas leaves us. Um, we I'm looking at what happened last night, and I'm looking at all these destructive things that are happening. I'm looking at where like people are saying, and Michael Burton says, love, he loves the show. Thank you, Michael. I'm on every Thursday night, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central Time on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitter. We have a great time, and hopefully I can get Bobby to come on, join my show on a Thursday night. But I'm looking at all this, and I'm looking at Mullen's demeanor and everything, and everybody's saying that, oh no, Mullen doesn't want to be a part of this show, things like that. But part of the program as such. But when you're told that you have to keep a defensive coach for another year due to money, I mean, if I'm Dan Mullen and I hear that, why would I still want to be a part of the show? I mean, I know I'm making a lot of money, but to still have no input in my coaching staff, that causes for me as a head coach that I would have a problem with that.
I can see where there would be a problem with that, but I feel like there's a bigger picture in the scheme of everything. I feel
Hmm.
like the buyout with Muschamp, we're done with that. The buyout with McElwain, we're done with that. The $92 million football facility that we're making, That'll be done by the spring of 2022. So that's definitely going to help. So a lot of these things, we've gotten behind us so we can start to get where we need to be with putting the money in recruiting to help better that, because right now Florida is behind the ball at 14th in the nation of spending on recruiting. So we're not up there and not even in the top 10.
Okay, but that figure is quite deceptive because number one, first of all, they have their own plane, so they can go out and fly to these different events and see the kids. Okay, but also number two, you're putting a lot of money into these new facilities and such, and to me, I look at all that. I think it's great. I think it needs to be done and what have you. But I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, the one it's not. It's like they don't want to go out and get the recruits, but they want to get the recruits to come here and see what our facilities is about. Am I wrong in that assessment? I don't know. I mean, you take it and you give me your side.
I just say that now that we're done with that, and I can personally understand Dan Mullen's frustration because there's changes that he wants to make. But when you have a year of 2020 and Scott Strickland, basically told Mullen, look, his contract ends this year. 2020 has been a crazy year with not being able to have the whole not having a spring practice, not having the fall camp, a normal fall camp, and not being able to have a lot of players in the same room. So okay, let's give Todd Grantham one more season because it also is the last year of his contract. Let's give him that and see, with the two new coaches that we had fired and then hired, with the changes that we made over the offseason, let's see how 2021 goes. Well, obviously 2021 has not panned out to being a great year for the defense whatsoever.
Michael Burton said something. And remember, this is one of only a few athletic departments that gives money to the school, not the other way around. Money's important to stay in the money is important to stay in the high positive to keep things rolling. I think that's a great, and I think that's a great observation that most of these schools do not put money. That most of these schools do not put money into their facilities, and Florida's doing that. So from that standpoint, maybe Scott Strickland is doing it right. Maybe it is, get these recruits in here and see what we have and entice them to come along. There was a Texas guy from that it was up the number one defensive tackle yesterday. Announced he was going to Texas A&M. Not a total surprise. We're not going to get the 5 stars and 4 stars like that. But you know what? In my opinion, I think that is a deceptive thing. That all these 5 and all these 4 stars. Because if you really think about it, a lot of these 3 stars have the hunger and the desire to want to play football. And I think from that standpoint, I think that's where Dan Mullen's coming from. Because a lot of these 4 or 5 stars people, they think like, hey, I'm a 5-star. I don't have to work as hard as other people, but it's these guys that are 3 stars and just above the 3-star grade that are hungry and want to come in and play ball. I think that's the standpoint that Dan Mullen is coming from.
Well, if you were to survey every college athlete in the nation, you're going to get a 100% vote on if they want to win, because they all want to win. They're all competitors. But when it comes to recruiting, you got to be able to get these players. It's not about getting the 5 stars and all of that. It's about getting players that are great, the 4 to 5 stars that are great. But Florida's a tough school to get into. Because we're top 5 academically, and we're top 10 in athletics. So when you have 2 of these things, you got to remember that you may have the athleticism and the athletics to play for the University of Florida, but you may not have the academics and the grades to get in there. So that does kind of limit Florida to who they can really go after.
That's a great point too. If you're gonna play, you better pay the price and better get the education because that is a big part of it. Hey, listen, I want to thank you and Lucas for coming on and joining me on this uh, just on this spur of the moment type of deal. I would love to have you come on my show. I'm on every Thursday night, 7:30 Central Time. Love to have you come on, talk a lot. Okay, we got another comment here. We must look at things very differently now. The player coach portal, Oklahoma, Texas, coming to the SEC, it would take adjusting with the season AD and coach. We have it. That's a great, and you know what that is a great point with Texas coming in and Oklahoma coming in. Michael's right about that.
We um with having new teams coming in the SEC, it's really going to change the landscape of college football in
Yes, it
general
is.
because you're
Yes,
going
it
to
is.
have a conference of the SEC, which is going to be very competitive in recruiting. Texas has great athletes, so now Florida is not only going to be competing with the Southeast, but now you're having teams like Texas, Texas A&M, Missouri. All the teams that are kind of in the middle of the United States that are now going to be in the Southeastern Conference. So, it's not like the way it was of only having to really focus on the Southeastern states. Now you're kind of competing with a whole bunch of teams, and we're going to
Yeah.
go from 14 teams to 16 teams. I mean, it's a big competition.
And that may be one of the things that they look at when they're trying to figure out the future of this program. Certainly, Strickland and Mullen have a lot to answer to, and hopefully, we can see some changes happening here shortly. Anyways, I'm on every Thursday night, 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 Eastern Time. I know you have a show that night called. You have a show that night. Please take a few moments and tell the people about your show that
Yeah,
you have
y'all
going on.
y'all join the Gator Gang Facebook page. It's all for the Gator fans. We try to keep it positive. We keep it family friendly. Daryl, Lucas, and myself, we have our podcast at 7:30 Eastern Time on Thursday night where we preview the game that's coming up on Saturday, and we'll talk in depth about that. And then on Monday night at 7:30 Eastern Time, we have our post game podcast where we discuss the game after it's all said and done and where we go from here.
Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting conversation with Lucas and your partner in crime there as well. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you
You're
for
more than
having me.
welcome. You're more than welcome to come on my show anytime. Just I'll see you link, pop on, and you will. We'd love to have you get your analysis on things.
Thank you very much. You have a good one. Go Gators.
Go Gators, Bobby. Bobby Alexander of Gator Gang, joining me here on this edition of the Animal Football Insider. Okay, now Thursday night we'll have more on this. We think that there's going to be some big news that's going to come out tonight or tomorrow. We'll discuss all that. Get you set up for Florida Stanford on Saturday. The Bucks have a game on Sunday. They'll be back at it. We'll discuss NFL action that's going on right now. And let's see, we got an update here right now. The Minnesota Vikings, Baltimore Ravens just upset the Minnesota Vikings. Well, not upset, but they defeated Minnesota 34-31 in overtime. That's just happened just a few moments ago. Well, I want to thank Michael Burton, Comic Along, Lucas Domingue Gator, Bobby Alexander for joining me on this very special Sunday afternoon post-game Gator edition. There's a lot that's going on with the Gators, and of course with the news that's come out about this meeting. Hopefully there some positive changes can happen in the process. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you Thursday night on this edition of the Animal Football, on the next edition of the Animal Football Insider. Until then, have a good one, and God bless.
Thank you for watching Animal Football Insider. Be sure to join us every Thursday night here on Facebook Live.